Julie, you can start.
Yep.
Got me?
Wow.
So this is the drawing I started yesterday. And I didn't get much past the Vine charcoal stage. So my plan was we'd be in here one day and everybody would be able to do a drawing. I did get to compressed charcoal here, just a little bit. The idea is that you would start with Vine, get things put together, and then mostly I'm working with charcoal pencil here. So it's compressed charcoal, but it's the more precise kind of way of doing it. It's not a compressed charcoal stick. Because this does take a good bit more kind of control. Now, in fairness, like almost no one in my whole group yesterday got very far very quickly. I'm going to do my best to secure this room for us next week as well. So what I'm hoping is going to happen is what you start today with mostly Vine charcoal, we'll have next week to continue with, and you can work with compressed charcoal. So let me show you how I got to this point. Now I want to point out one thing here. One thing I'm not really happy with in terms of this drawing, and that I'm going to ask you to do a little differently, and I'll do it differently in my demo, is that I got to pull back a little bit more. I didn't leave enough room on the paper to sort of show the linear perspective. Yeah, there's a little room here. I'm seeing it turn the corner. I'm getting some orthogonals here. Yeah, there's a little room here. I turn the corner. I'm starting to see some orthogonals where the wall meets the ceiling, where the wall meets the floor. But not much. It feels a little too much like just a flat drawing of that flat wall. And that's not what you want. So I'm going to do this whole thing again, but shrink the back wall a little bit so there's more in my view of the side walls. This is where the orthogonals are. So please pay special attention to how I get started here. Remember, your point of view, your eye level, corresponds exactly to the vanishing point. So if you were to pretend you're where I am, you can do that without too much difficulty. Look across there. In terms of vertical location, where is my eye level? Give me a landmark over there. My eye level's at about what level?
Top of the fireplace.
So top of the fireplace, and by that I would mean top of the firebox, like where the bricks are, right? My head's not up where the mantle is. Yeah. So it's top of the firebox. Good. Okay, imagine a line straight across there. All right, now where is my eye left to right? Is it in the center of the room, left of center, right of center? What point is it hitting over there as far as left to right goes? Corinne, tell me. So definitely right of center. Oh, is your hand up? Tell me, Chase. Oh, it's not? You're just being comfortable?
You're to the right, aren't you?
Definitely to the right. Corinne, can you guess, like, where's my eye hitting, left to right, do you think?
Like where exactly?
Yeah, just...
Maybe like those two doors right there on the right.
Okay, so the two doors on the right, and I can tell you kind of like on the left edge of those doors. So when you sit down to draw this, you've got to square yourself up with this wall, right? You're not kind of like looking at a corner. You're looking flat at that wall. And you're first and foremost determining, in my case, definitely kind of down fairly low in terms of that whole wall, and definitely off to the right. So on my page, I can kind of start thinking that way. I can kind of think, I'm definitely kind of near the bottom, and I'm over to the right. I'm not like right in the middle. I'm going to start by drawing my horizon line loosely. You know, lots of times with linear perspective, you know, people will teach linear perspective and then send you out with a pencil and maybe even a straight edge. And students think they've got this system for drawing with linear perspective, and they start using their straight edge and making measurements, and their drawing is like dry as a bone. And it looks like some weird, lame, pathetic excuse for a technical drawing or something. Forget that. I want you to use linear perspective, but I want you to make a real drawing, you know, that really is mostly about value relationships. So I've got my wall here. If I look at that wall, it's definitely wider than it is tall, right? It's short and wide. And I'm not sure I got the proportions just right, but I'm going to try, in terms of a quick gesture drawing, try and see if I do. So let's see here. If I were to divide the wall up, the first division I see is, in this case, that big wooden part in the middle where the fireplace is. And it's sort of wider than either of the two columns on the sides. Kind of something like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think my whole thing would need to be a little bit wider. Okay. Not bad, because somebody tell me this. How far down is that line where the white wall turns into wooden trim? How far down the wall? Halfway down, more than halfway, less than halfway? About how much? Okay, less than halfway down. So about how far down is it?
1/3.
About a third of the way down. Not a good guess. I can, yeah, pretty close. So I want to go about a third of the way down. So that's where my arches are. And my arches are kind of like, you know, there's more space here than here, right? More space on the outside than on the inside. Not sure I've got them perfect, but, you know, pretty close. All right, not bad. My doors are going to kind of be here. There's those little transom lights above it, and then the doors down below. And I can see like the bottom of the lights, the windows and the doors a little bit below the fireplace. Okay, so now that I'm getting these guys in, I need to figure out if my vanishing point, which is kind of in here, is that about right? Oh, that's pretty close. Great job, Brooke. Thanks, Brooke. My vanishing point is indeed kind of right about there somewhere. So now I can use that, now that I've kind of confirmed that the proportions look pretty good to me, I think. Now I can use that to create more orthogonals. So here's a corner where wall meets ceiling. Go out like that, boom. That's the orthogonal where the ceiling meets the wall on the side, on the right side. Same thing here. This is where a floor meets wall on the right side. Over here on the left side, and I'm kind of lightly drawing it all the way out. And pretty early on, I can just kind of, you know, fudge those inside there. Now, I hope you can see that over here on the right, these guys are steeper than these guys. This is much less steep. Why is that?
Moves you further on one side of the wall.
Yeah, because I'm over here. I'm over closer to the right. So the closer I am to this, the more steep these orthogonals are going to get. As I move closer and closer to this wall, those orthogonals would get steeper and steeper. Do the thought experiment with me. What if I move my viewpoint all the way over to that wall? What happens to those orthogonals?
They'd be straight up and down.
What's that?
They'd be straight up and down.
Yeah, they just go straight vertical. They get steep, 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 until that wall just becomes a line. It disappears completely. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind. And the further I get away from that wall, the more I see it. And if I want to see that wall, I gotta like move away from it. So that's what's happening over here. That's why these are less steep. Okay, that's the basic layout of how to sort of start this in linear perspective. From this point, I want to think mostly in value. Look, I've got this, so if top of the arch, if I draw that over here, boom, I can use my orthogonal to sort of set that up too. So I know that like this arch right here does that sort of thing. The orthogonals for the bottom of the arches. So this is where it would, this is white here. There's another arch kind of that starts right there. And I can see the arches, those are windows. They're pretty light compared to how dark this is around it. All right, so I can start with value. I would go around here, this arch here is not a window, it's wood. And that's going to be fairly dark compared to the relatively white wall. There's a shadow here. Yeah, shadow coming in. The door frames are fairly dark because there's light coming in through the windows in the great hall back there and kind of shining through this. You can see, just like with any first 5-minute drawing, I'm doing a quick gestural drawing at the beginning. Remember, your drawings start as kind of blurry photographs. Not photos, but you work from general to specific. So at first they're very general and mushy. As you move along, and you can see, for instance, This is general mushy vine charcoal. And this is going to be much more specific, crisper edges compressed charcoal. This guy down here too, whereas these are still my initial very mushy furniture drawings. So I'm hoping that's enough to get you started.